Hey guys, Andrew Beckford here. You might be wondering why you're listening to a voiceover instead of hearing what Dan and I are saying to each other right now. To make a long story short, I went through a ton of trouble to get Dan for an interview, and he very graciously granted that to me. And then unfortunately, when I brought the video back to edit it, the audio was completely off. Essentially, the microphone recorded everything in the background, which is pretty bad because we were at a very loud party, so it's incredibly difficult to hear what Dan and I are saying to each other. So instead, I'm going to narrate and sort of go over some of the things that we talked about. We'll start off with a little preview event that we went to before I went to the party. And at this event, Dan and the design director, Bill Geis, demonstrated Forza 5 and dropped a few pretty juicy tidbits about the game that haven't really been widely released yet. One of the first big ones is that, in Forza Motorsport 4 brought the introduction of Auto Vista, and they did 24 cars total. They announced that in Forza Motorsport 5, every car in the game can be viewed in what they call Forza Vista mode, which is the rebranded Auto Vista. And not only will every car be able to be viewed in Forza Vista, but you can view personal cars from your own garage in the game in Forza Vista. Now, the significance of that is that if you have a car that you've modified, painted, did a custom livery, changed the wheels, whatever, those visual changes and upgrades will be represented when you look at the car in Forza Vista. So you still get all the same high detail and definition and visuals, but with your car that you actually modded, which is pretty damn cool. The other big announcement was that open wheel would be in Forza 5, namely Indy Car. So they said the top 4, or maybe not the top 4, but 4, I'm assuming they're going to go with the top one, Indy Car teams will be in the game and be playable. Another cool little fact was that for the first time, Forza Motorsport will have a cinematic score for music. And they went to LucasArts to score Forza Motorsport 5. And in addition to scoring the game, they actually did a dynamic cinematic score, which means that the vibe and feel of the music emotionally will change to coincide with the action that's going on while you're racing. So as you get closer to the final lap, the music will get more dramatic and more aggressive, and if you're going head to head with someone having a really intense battle, the music will represent that as well. So those are just a few cool little announcements that they made before we went to the party. Once we were there, I asked Dan several questions that I reached out to Forza Motorsport forum members on. I asked them what they wanted to know, and then I would then take the most asked questions and pose those to Dan so we can get some hardcore answers on some of the things that the true Forza fans want to know and are worried about. So the first question I asked was about Fanatec wheel compatibility and if the current crop of Fanatec wheels will work on the Xbox One with Forza 5. Unfortunately, Dan did not have an answer for that. He said that that's more of a hardware question, and that's something that the guys over at Microsoft and the engineers are working on right now. But the last I heard from another thread on the Forza forums, Fanatec has an announcement planned, so maybe they figured something out. The other question I asked was if there would be weather and or day-night cycles during racing, i.e. night racing, snow, rain, etc. Dan said there would not be night racing, nor will there be weather. Didn't really go into why, but I'm assuming that it's just not something they're ready to do yet. I could be wrong, it could show up later, who knows, but for now, there's no weather and no night racing. The other question I asked was for the painters out there, and I asked if vinyl layer groups can be imported from Forza 4 into Forza 5. Unfortunately, they cannot. mainly because everything that you've done up until now has been on a completely different console. And if you haven't heard already, the Xbox One is pretty much not backwards compatible with anything from Xbox 360. So there's essentially no way to sort of transfer what you've done from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One. And even if there was like a cloud feature, since the programming and the file types and everything will be completely different, there's no way to use those files and saves in the new game. So that really kind of sucks for those who might have done a lot of work in Forza 4 on a particular livery, but that's just kind of the breaks. I mean, we have to start over, but that's part of moving on to something new. The next question I asked was if there would be different road surfaces. In Forza Horizon, they introduced us to dirt and rally. According to Dan, there will not be any rally or dirt racing in Forza Motorsport 5, but they will add different road surfaces. Since their physics engine has been remodeled and revamped so much, they can actually do different surfaces and heat on different surfaces as well. So depending on if you're racing on cobblestone, asphalt, concrete, if it's a street course or something like that, the physics engine takes all that into account, and it will act with the tire physics engine and provide a completely different handling experience depending on where you're racing and how warm it is, which is pretty cool. The next thing I asked was how dependent the single player experience will be on an internet connection, because during the presentations they mentioned the cloud a lot, and there's going to be a lot of features in Forza Motorsport 5 that are dependent on the cloud, and that usually means, okay, well, this game might require an always online connection to play. But according to Dan, you can still have a pretty deep, rich single player experience without having to connect to the internet. Granted, the system itself has to connect at least once every 24 hours, but you can be offline and still have a deep, rich single player experience with Forza Motorsport 5, which is good news. The last question I asked, and probably one of the biggest ones, the question that everybody wants to know, is if Porsha will be in Forza Motorsport 5. Unfortunately, at this time, they will not be in the game. That's not to say they might not be in the game in the future, but as of now, there is no Porsha in Forza Motorsport 5, and as of now, there are no plans to do a DLC pack with Porsha. But things can change. So there you have it. That's my wrap-up of everything I learned about Forza Motorsport 5 tonight. Once again, I'm sorry for the audio problem. And if you guys really, really want to hear the audio and I get enough requests, I might release the video with the original audio on there. But I'm telling you right now, mostly what you're going to hear is a random conversation from two people standing right behind my camera, which isn't that interesting, but that's the breaks. Stay tuned. I'm still going to give you my impressions of the game after I get some more time with it. And then I'll give you some more information from E3 on all the other cool new racing games that are coming soon on new consoles, Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching/listening.